Hey guys, this is Blade Check 101 coming up with you for another knife review. This time for a really great knife for anyone looking for a cheap fixed blade that really provides fantastic powers. And that would be this knife right here. This is a collaborative knife between a custom knife designer called Dirk Pinkerton and the company Meyerco. This knife is one of a series, and I'll be bringing in the other parts of the series pretty soon. But this one is called the Wharning, and obviously it's a play off of the blade shape, which is a Wharncliffe style blade. If you've seen any of my other videos, you know how big of a fan I am of Wharncliffes. This knife in particular has a 2 3/4 or 2 5 or 2 7/8, somewhere around there, inch long blade with about 3.5 inch long handle. The handle is really small. I have smaller hands, and my entire hand covers it. It's got a really nice choil here for for your finger to sit in. It also works really nicely in a reverse grip. And I either carry this knife on my right side or my left side. It does have a neck knife option. I don't carry it that way, but there is an option for it. There is only one way if you clip it to carry this knife, and that is either strong side, unless you tuck it in so that the sheath is between your belt and you, or this way where the clip is between your belt and you. This is kind of uncomfortable having it with the sheath right there, but if you can take it, go ahead and do it. But that is the only option. There are no other screws available on this. This is how it's set up, and this is actually what keeps the sheath nice and tight as well. I'm sure you could figure out a way to glue it maybe and take these out, but it doesn't work terribly well. Or maybe even just fit washers in there if you didn't want the clip on it, if you wanted to carry it as a neck knife. It's a very lightweight knife. As you can see, the profile of it is really nice and thin. Let me back that up a little bit for you. There you go. The profile of it is really thin, but not in a bad way. The tip is thin but strong. It's almost a full flat grind. So you can see that the edge, or that the grind starts right about here, which is really nice. This thing just cuts like you would not believe. The steel on it is 18 CR MOV, or 18 CR 13 MOV or something like that. And it's in my experience with this blade so far, it's kind of like AUS 8. It's maybe a little bit softer than that, but with this design, sharpening is incredibly easy. You don't need to worry about it, because you're just dragging the knife right across the stone because it's nice and straight. There's nothing to be worried about with sharpening something like this. But like I said, this knife is incredibly sharp. I mean, you've got that nice wide blade and that thin profile, so that's really nice. The handle is nice and thin too, and it rides really tightly against you, so you hardly even know it's there under a shirt or anything like that. With a jacket, I simply put it, if you imagine your body as a clock, with right in front of you being 12, right behind you being 6, 3, and 9, I usually put this at around 4 o'clock. So that's on my right side, and that's just right after the 3 o'clock point, because when I'm wearing a jacket, even at the 3 o'clock point, it's still slightly visible. So slightly behind there, not so far back that you need to reach behind you, and it's still accessible simply by moving your jacket or your coat, or just popping up your shirt and doing that. It also happens to pretty much kind of be right where your elbows sit. If you just kind of sit with your chest out, and your arms back a little bit, that's kind of where it sits. So that's kind of cool. The tip on that thing is wicked, wicked sharp, and it penetrates incredibly well. There was actually an article on this in, I think, Tactical Knives Magazine. So if you want to check that out, go right ahead. Right now I'm going to bring in the other two in the bigger knife set that Dirk Pinkerton has done. It started off with real small knives. You can check those out too. It's the variable broadhead, which is a 1-inch bladed double-edged dagger type design. So there's that. There's one called the thumb drive, which is like a really mini kiridashi, and it's just meant for a key ring. And then there's a small one with a hole in the handle, and it's a talon-shaped blade. It's very small, but certainly effective. But these are the other two in this one. Here's the smallest one in the big knife set, and this one I always carry as a knife. But this one also has the clip. This one is called the Focus. As you can see, it's completely bare steel. It's a small knife. The blade length overall is 2 inches, or the blade length is 2 inches long. Overall, I think this is a 6 1/4 inch long knife. I don't know if you can see this. Let's see how close I can get it. Not too well. Anyway, this is all jimping back here, and it's like really, really good jimping. I'm pushing really hard against it right now, and it's not budging. And it goes clear up to here. So not completely up to the tip, but pretty darn close, pretty much as far as your thumb will go comfortably. Obviously you can reach, but it's not there. So comfortably, very, very nice. The back part here is pointy. This knife, this one costs, depending on where you go, $22. You know, between 20 and 25. And that's really, really reasonable. This one is the same way. You got a micarta handle. The first run of this, the micarta is a little bit gamey. Like you can see the white here and the black here and then the white down here. And, you know, depending on if that bothers you, whatever. It's a cheap knife. Like I said, same price range about as this, which is pretty impressive. Same steel. All these drilled out holes are beveled, so you know they're not going to hurt your hands. But all these knives are fantastic self-defense knives. That's actually how they were designed, is basically just, like on this one, if I have it on my neck, it's basically just, it was designed for a police officer to simply grab and slash, you know, and as a last resort self-defense tool, or to be worn, you know, simply alongside your firearm, inside, on the inside belt. So that's this one. And then the largest knife in the series is this big guy. And what you have here is a 3 3/4 inch long blade, which feels a little, like even bigger. A nice thick profile, but the scales are nice and thin. So this knife overall is actually a pretty thin package for what you got. As you can see, this one is a Persian design, and that's the name of it, a Persian. It's called Persian. This one, I don't know if I mentioned, is called the Focus. So this is the Persian. The handle is beautifully ergonomic. You look at it, it almost looks like a quick little drop that someone may have done, but it works so incredibly well. This nice swooped up blade. I'm not a huge fan of these swooped up blades like this, because I'm a big fan of like Wharncliffe, which is completely opposite. Wharncliffe is like this, as opposed to like this. But again, as a fighting knife, this really would do an awful lot of damage. That long blade, there's no jimping whatsoever on this, but you also have this nice deep choil, this beautiful huge belly, and your hand just locks right in there. As far as thrusting, it's more of a crescent thrust than a straight on thrust, because you're actually going to be, if I just thrust, you're actually just kind of cutting in, and it would certainly work. But as you can see, that is just, you know, it's almost like a seesaw. It's really, really cool. But this one also works really, really well in the reverse grip. One bad thing about this knife is the clip and sheath design. I'm actually thinking about completely taking the clip off, and I'm not really sure how I'm going to do this, to be honest with you. I may end up doing the Blackhawk Callista belt loop option with this, so I can have it inside the waistband, and try to do it that way. I don't know if I'm going to be able to, but as of right now, I don't know if you can see this, but this part comes out so far that when you try to put the knife on, you need to actually try to retract this, and your belt has a really hard time getting up into this portion here. It stays in this portion just fine, but then if you click this blade shut to pull it out, you actually need to do a thumb assist and a really hard pull, which every time I've tried it quickly in like a self-defense reenactment, I found that I just pull the entire package out of my belt, off my belt, and now I'm, oh, you know, let's go, and that's not really useful. But this one has really nice G10 scales, 2 screws that are removable. As far as I know, they probably glued them, but you know, they are screws. They're not, you know, solid. But you've got a lot of different carry options with this one, only because you have this. So I'm sure that's probably Tech-Lock compatible, maybe not Mini Tech-Lock, but certainly the regular one. If you string paracord through there, you could make it Molly compatible. But yeah, this is another one of those kind of bigger fighting knives. Check the knife laws in your area though before you get this one. These two should be fine. Some knife laws do the hand method, and this one I've got small hands and that fits perfectly on me. But this is a really good lady self-defense knife, as is this one for just carrying like in your purse or something. This one I find carrying on a belt, this kind of bothers me a little bit, and it gets cold. You know, because it has that nice like flow-through design. I also noticed, and I would change this if he does another production run of these knives, that the sheath, I kind of wish that it came a little bit further up, like maybe here, because this hole is covered. So if I want to wrap this handle, I have to actually try to start here, which is kind of a pain. But I have tried wrapping the handle, and it doesn't work terribly well with this knife. I like the feeling of it's really nice. It's kind of thin, but it's completely strong. That tip is wicked strong. The knife comes pretty sharp. All these are the same steel, by the way. The smaller versions are AUS 6. Not a great steel, but you know, to each his own. But out of all of them, this guy right here is my absolute favorite. It's really quick deploying, you know, and it's just, it has that perfect, you know, that perfect feeling to it. Again, Meyerco, Dirk Pinkerton design. You can go online, find them almost anywhere. KnifeCenter.com has some, just all different websites got them now. But check them out, and guys, for 22 bucks, 25 bucks, come on. You can't afford to add that to your collection. It's a fixed blade. It's a really good, solid knife. Definitely an alternative to like the Spyderco Ronin, which they don't make anymore. Kind of off that same design. Excellent self-defense blade. That's how it was designed. Actually, when you get the packaging for this knife, it even says designed as a fighting or as a self-defense knife with secondary applications of EDC or utility. So there it is, guys. This one is called the Wharning. We got the Focus and the Persian. So there you go. Hope you guys enjoyed, and hope you have a great day.